Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Jacob Wile, too.
And welcome to another topical episode of Tiki's Universe, the show where right now we're just covering exclusively DuckTales, but that will change soon. Jacob, mostly because DuckTales is going off air as of starting next week will be the last episode until hiatus. So I figure, Jacob, that would be a perfect time for us to kind of like play the catch-up game on stuff like Milo Murphy and Welcome to the Wayne and all that. Jacob, actually, the last thing that we have to do with, or the first thing with Milo Murphy we have to do, I should say, is the TV movie, and I think we should do the TV movie as just a commentary.
Are you sure it's only like an hour long?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's like 40 minutes, but I don't know. I think that'd be a good way to approach that. I'm literally talking about inside baseball stuff on air because I'm tired. All right, so Jacob, we're talking about the infernal internship of Mark Beaks. Gotta say,
Yes.
When I heard the title of that episode, and keep in mind I haven't seen any of the descriptions or trailers or anything like that, because that's usually what I like to do with these episodes. I like to come in as fresh as I can with it. I was honestly expecting Mark Beaks to be like a sort of a gyro type intern. Like I was expecting him to be the intern. So when I was watching the episode for the first time, I discovered that it was actually a blatant Mark Zuckerberg parody. I was like, okay, that's not what I was expecting, but we'll see where it goes.
The goal was the goal for the creators was like to like bring some kind of the modern billionaire into conflict with the more old-fashioned billionaires of Scrooge and Glomgold.
Sure.
And speaking of, like, as I told you earlier, the original name for them was Mark Zuckerberg. But
I honestly think Mark Zuckerberg would have been a good, like, a perfect in-between.
Well, they said they didn't want to be too on the nose out of fear of, like, they didn't think that Mark Zuckerberg would be too amused that they named a villain after him.
Well, I mean, Mark Zuckerberg is basically the villain of his own biopic, so he's kind of used to that sort of public scrutiny.
But I don't think I mean, it's just like they didn't want to like get into too much over scrutiny with it, so they just went with Mark Beaks.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Jacob, I'm sorry, like this is probably going to be annoying to the audience as well, but oh boy, I cannot watch this episode without thinking of The Social Network.
I mean, it's understandable. I mean, it's basically a parody of Mark Zuckerberg, so it's kind of a given.
Have you seen The Social Network, Jacob?
No, I haven't.
All right, to me, this is like a kind of like a rare thing for me, like because of my own personal tastes and whatnot. But so I actually, The Social Network I consider it to be a Mount Rushmore movie for me. It's one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. So I hold it up, like I prop it up. It's my favorite David Fincher movie. It's my favorite biopic I've ever seen. It's one of my favorite, like, just personal dramas. So I really do enjoy the fact that this episode kind of took the, kind of like the uber serious, because basically, like, yeah, this guy, like, Mark Beaks might be a villain in this episode, but really he's tame compared to how Mark Zuckerberg is portrayed in The Social Network. Like, Mark Beaks is just kind of like quirky and a jerk, but Mark Zuckerberg in The Social Network is straight up evil.
Well, we'll just have to see how he plays up in this. I mean, it's clear that Mark is capable of such unhinged tactics, and as I mentioned on the 2 for him the coffees, like it's shown that he is capable of deep unearthed fury if provoked.
Okay, so Jacob, I feel like we'd be burying the lead if we didn't get into this right away. How amazing was Glomgold this episode?
Well, he's just as great as he ever was, like as well this incarnation's version of him.
No, I mean, I honestly like the pilot. Him in the pilot was great, but I honestly think I like this version of him even more. I mean, I shouldn't say this version of him. Like, this time we're seeing him. I don't know. It's like I love the rivalry between him and Scrooge. I think it's very well played. because it is very deadly, but at the same time, it's played straight and it's played almost casually.
Yeah, it's like okay, we know they're rivals. He knows he's bad. Let's just go with that.
Right. It's like at the same time, they're still sort of like begrudgingly friends, which I really like about this episode.
It's like, it's probably the one person I hate just as much as you.
Like, even when Glomgold is literally in the middle of a plan trying to kill Scrooge, he's still got like kind of a soft spot for the guy underneath his rough exterior. I don't know. At least that's how I read it.
If anything, it's more like a begrudging respect.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Like, he probably he openly did admit that he hates him.
So I think by far the funniest Glomgold. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So it's entirely possible that it is entirely possible to hate somebody and respect them at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they're going for with the Glomgold. I mean, because I really hope they just don't go with the whole, oh, I just want to be friends with the guy route.
I honestly think what they're doing is a bit more complicated than just the whole like he hates him, which is, you know, that was very much how Glomgold in the original DuckTales was portrayed. I
hope they go beyond that. I hope they do have some.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think they're gonna do Glomgold just straight up hates him, but I also don't think they're gonna go like the friendship route. I think it's gonna be like kind of a complicated dynamic all the way through.
It's like even Scrooge admitted some begrudging respect to Glomgold. Like, he gave him credit in his like when he captured Donald in the first. Like, that's actually pretty smart. So they both have so maybe that goes both ways. Like, they both have a grudging respect for each other.
Yeah.
So, but something that neither of them have for Mark.
Oh man. Yeah. And Mark Zuckerberg, like, I don't even want to get into the personal politics of the real life guy. And like, it's questionable if like the real life guy is more evil than the social network portrayal of him. There's a lot, like, again, I don't want to touch the politics of that with a 10-foot pole. And frankly, I'm kind of surprised that Disney wanted to touch it. But this guy is, I don't know. I think he's a lot of fun. I like him a lot better than, oh God, Gander. What the hell was his name? Gladstone.
He's an original character for this series too. Mark is.
Yeah, look, I'm sorry. With Gladstone, it's like, I understand that it's like the writer's job to make him annoying. That still doesn't make him a good character. Like, that guy really rubbed me the wrong way. This guy, like, he's got definitely.
Do you think Mark is like the good kind of annoying?
I do think he's obnoxious, but I just think he's less abrasive than Gladstone. Like, I don't entirely think he's off the hook in terms of not being an annoying character, because if anything, I think this character is kind of like, I understand what they're going for in terms of showing the modern day businessman compared to the the old fashioned businessman of Scrooge and Glomgold. I get that. What I'm worried about with this episode is that it's going to kind of like promote the whole idea that this series is just sort of like modernizing and playing up to the, the hip youth of today, yo. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's more like parodying and mocking it almost. I mean, considering...
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's definitely what they're going for. I'm just sort of worried that people are going to take it the wrong way.
I mean, I clearly saw it as like, it's like, yeah, he's annoying. Like, he's taking all these traits and exaggerating them up to 11. Like, backup phones. Like, I need to be popular and all that. It's like they're clearly trying to make people actually like. It's like holding up a mirror almost to these people. Like,
yeah,
it's like, this is what you look like, people.
Right. I mean, I will say, in terms of speaking pattern, this guy is pretty much like right on the money in terms of like emulating Jesse Eisenberg as Mark Zuckerberg in The Social Network.
Well, that's probably what they were going for. I don't know.
He's got that same sort of like, like manic energy to him.
Well, it's from some guy who was in Silicon Valley, so I guess it makes sense.
Oh, that does make sense, yeah.
I think his name was like Josh Brenner or something like that. I think he was in Silicon Valley.
Okay. Good guess.
So they chose a good actor for him, I guess.
Yeah, natural fit.
They're actually doing that for a lot of these. They're actually doing that for a lot of these characters, like as it seems.
I mean, Paul F. Tompkins was a natural fit for Gladstone. Again, that still doesn't make me like the character, but I don't want to.
But it's actually cool to see them going with these natural fits.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, just like David Tennant was for Scrooge.
Mm-hmm.
And David Tennant was actually pretty good here too.
Yeah, I mean, this was probably the most Tennant's had to do since the pilot.
Yeah, and I mean, even more than the previous episode where he just walked around.
Yeah, exactly. In the previous episode, like, he did have some good moments of like outsmarting the hotel and everything, but he was sort of like in the background. Here, he's definitely got, like, again, I love the subplot between him and Gladstone, or not Gladstone. God, Glomgold, not Gladstone. Jesus Christ, let's never see him again.
And I noticed something about Glomgold, and I gave further hints to the fact that he's a fake Scot.
Yes, which like, I love that. I love that you called that so early on, Jacob.
It's like when he was like delivering that letter to Mark about the fake yacht. Either that's his real accent, or that's like that's just what he really sounds like, or it's something else. Yeah, that he's like spoken as a Scot for so long that's become the Scottish is his natural accent, and now the other one is like what he uses to disguise it with.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just a gag, but even his beard is fake.
There's just so many things to go on this in terms of Glomgold. 2 points I want to hit on. One, I love how evil and maniacal Glomgold gets with his plans.
Yeah, it's like I really just, speaking of his plans, I really just liked his plan for Scrooge. Just like basically go him over a bridge, throw him into lava, party with hot duck chicks. I mean, that was basically a summation of his get rid of Scrooge plan.
But when he's reciting the plan to get rid of to get rid of Mark, he's just going really into like, and then he'll see the lava, but he'll be too distracted by the lava to see the sharks.
Yep.
I also love when he's talking to the shark in the tank, and he's like, "Oh, you want to be a part of my evil, dastardly scheme, don't ya? Don't ya?"
And then the whole stuffed rabbit.
Oh god, just Glomgold is just so much fun in this episode.
You can tell Keith Ferguson's having fun with it.
Oh yeah.
It's always good that you can tell an actor's having fun with their role. That are just really dedicated.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I guess we should get into the Dewey and Huey of it all, minus Louie.
It's pretty interesting to see these two. I mean, these two haven't been paired off with each other yet that we've seen.
Yeah. So, and also Louie's going to get, apparently he's going to be the only nephew in the next episode. So that's an interesting sort of pair off there.
Really interesting that they're kind of like pairing off the nephews in these various groups and sometimes away from each other.
I mean, I would say I'd like to think that the next episode is going to be like what Dewey was or what Louie was up to while this was going on, but the next episode has Scrooge in it, so I don't think that's the case.
Probably.
Like if it was like a Louie and Launchpad side adventure, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, we might get one of those. Who knows? I mean, especially with the screwed up schedule that this thing was given, that the whole airing out of order thing.
Honestly, I think we're at the point where I think it's pretty much ironed itself out. Like, it was a little wonky for a few weeks there, especially with so many Webby-centric episodes all in a row. But I think at this point, we're kind of on the right track with it.
Yeah, it seems like as long as they don't have any early reveals that contradict something earlier, if you know what I mean.
Right, yeah.
I mean, it's not like the show has the tightest continuity yet, but still.
No, but this show's definitely like it's setting a lot of stuff up in these early episodes. You know what I mean? It's like the pacing of the continuity actually reminds me a lot of early Gravity Falls, where it's less so like tying stories together and more so like leading breadcrumbs to different things.
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah, like Monkey actually asked me how similar this show was to Gravity Falls, and I was like, actually, it is pretty similar with the you know, the pacing, the sense of humor, the way it handles continuity.
It's a good way to look at it.
All right. So I don't know about you. I found Huey's storyline super relatable this episode.
Yeah, I really do like. I really did like that.
And honestly, I really do think through these last few episodes, Huey's really coming to the forefront as my favorite of the three nephews.
Yeah, it's like he does have quite an interesting personality. Like he's like, it's clear that I like when it shows like how both sides of working are equally valid. Like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't paint one side as being entirely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if that was intentional, but it shows like both the easygoing fun worker and then the plan everything out. That sometimes they even complement each other.
Oh, I mean, that was definitely intentional. Yeah. I don't know. To me, like the easygoing fun worker was like less flattering. Like to me, it was sort of like, you know, like Dewey was clearly supposed to be the Beaks stand-in. You know what I mean? Where he's
Clearly they have
sort of like skate by on charisma alone. Like especially with stuff like, "Hey, I ordered pizzas."
Well, clearly they're showing the hard worker to be the better one.
Yeah, yeah. I just love how Beaks.
But the thing is, even Dewey realized that what Beaks was doing was entirely wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I love how Beaks. Where Beaks is, you know, he spots.
I thought it doesn't matter how far do you take that whole skating by on charisma thing alone.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you here.
No, honestly, it's just the fact that I'm so tired. I think that's why my timing's off. I apologize. I'm sorry. It's kind of past, but I like the moment where Beaks is, you know, he spots the ever elusive briefcase, and he's like, "Oh, what's that ironically important briefcase doing in my chill work environment?" It's just like I love the fact that the briefcase alone just gives Dewey the edge.
That is pretty weird. And it pushed Huey over the edge.
Oh God, and I love broken Huey.
Like even dude's like, oh no, he's broken.
Like Jacob, can I just say, like I've had mental breakdowns that are almost exactly like Huey's breakdown in this episode, where it's just like, oh sure, that guy gets the promotion. Yeah, totally makes sense because I guess anyone can be anything now. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I've had that personal experience where I work.
I think this episode is very relatable to just like anyone who's encountered workplace drama or like jockeying for a promotion or whatnot.
Yeah, so I can understand that one.
Oh yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I know, Jake, to be honest with you, like when we first started this, I didn't think I'd have a lot to talk about, but there is like quite a bit to break down here. What do you think of the kind of the Cobra Bubble stand-in, Falcon Graves?
Oh, I thought he was pretty cool. I hope we see more of him in the future.
Do you agree with me that he is kind of Cobra Bubbles like?
We definitely had the kind of voice.
Yeah, he's got the voice, he's got the stature, he's got kind of like the professional demeanor to him.
He was constantly getting annoyed by Mark, which is like yes, we get it.
Like the whole episode, his whole career and his whole job is just being downplayed.
Yeah, and I do like and I thought it was that actually. I don't know about a lot of people, but I actually did find the twist kind of interesting. That like he was like Mark was like openly manipulating the whole situation to become more of a billionaire faster.
To be honest with you, I thought that was a really, really cutting jab at the way that social media and trending operates, Jacob. I thought that was a really intelligent reveal.
Oh yeah.
Because social media is basically just based on empty hype. You know what I mean? Like stuff like this just comes to mind because I listened to a podcast about the guy recently, but like someone like Chris Crocker could put up the Leave Britney Alone video and he could get internet famous like overnight. You know what I mean? Like the internet and social media is just like so it's just so it's so unpredictable when it comes to that. And I'm sorry. Again, folks, I'm tired and words are not coming to me like they should be.
No, I understand. I thought it was like more of like a jab at people. It was like, share this and like share if you support this or share if you agree or something like that.
Oh, I mean, it's like I think the Beaks character in general is a jab at people like that. Yeah, but I think the actual reveal is kind of a jab at, like I said, like the empty hype machine that is social media. Or maybe I'm just reading too much into it and I'm sleep deprived. Who knows? But
well, I mean that I didn't think about that, but it actually kind of makes sense for his character and all.
I mean, like, look on your Facebook trending thing on any given day, Jacob, and tell me how many of the trending news stories are stuff that's like actually relevant or actually means something.
Well, depending on what happens.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, depending on the state of current affairs and whatnot. But I don't know. I just remember some days looking on that news feed and like seeing like, oh, like this new commercial for Amazon Prime got like 10 billion views. I'm like, I don't care. Like, why should I care? Why should an Amazon Prime commercial be on my like Facebook trending newsfeed? I don't know. Again, rant, but I liked how clever that was on a social media level.
And it shows how actually cunning and manipulative Mark can be. Like, it shows like he can actually be quite the conniving villain in the future.
Yeah, so speaking of that, what do you think of the potential for this storyline to continue? Because honestly, I was not sure what to make of the ending of this episode. Like, I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be a gag or if it was like, okay, like now Gladstone is going to like, you know, get to Mark. Like, how is that going to go? Because like pretty much every other ending to an episode so far this season has been a cliffhanger that you would think is going to tie into some sort of continuity. But this, I thought, was a little bit more of a question mark. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know. It's like I mean, I don't really know. I mean, it could be anything. It could be like he could like realize it's a trap, or he could just like use it to. For all we know, Glomgold's plan could epically backfire, and Mark could use it to boost his popularity even more.
Yeah, but I'm asking, like, do you think we're going to see a direct continuation of this specific storyline?
I mean, I don't know.
Trying to axe Mark.
Oh, I mean, probably. I mean, Scrooge might go up against him, but Glomgold might actually try to kill him more. For all we know.
I mean, I don't know. Like, Mark is kind of a character where it's like I would take or leave seeing him again. Like, I'm much more invested in like the Gizmo Duck and the Huey, Dewey, and Louie's mother and those types of storylines, and of course Magica. This storyline for me with Glomgold and the .com billionaire, it's not that I'm not into it. It feels a little bit more jokey and less, it doesn't have as much weight as the other storylines have.
Well, someone on a comment thread actually did point out something. Not everything has to be deep and story, or sometimes
just. Oh God, you're very much right, Jacob. You're very much right. Thank you for calling me on that.
Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's just fun to have just a simple, fun episode.
And I mean, honestly, I'm reading way too much into it, and I think, to me, like, I think the ending works as just a gag. Like, oh, look, Glomgold got the guy after all. Oh boy, shenanigans are going to ensue. And I don't really need to see the direct continuation of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, all right. One other beat I want to hit on before we sign out, Jacob. I love the moment where Mark dives off the building after his last backup phone, and like the serious, like operatic music starts playing.
How many backup phones did he have? Like 5 or 6?
Oh God, at least 6. I want to say at least 6. I don't know. We should go back and count sometime. But
take a drink for every replacement phone.
Right. Maybe I'll go back and rewatch it, and then on next week's podcast, I'll give you the answer. It'll be like our trivia.
Yes.
So, all right. Next week's episode is, like I said, it seems like scheduling wise, it's going to be the last episode for a while. Which, honestly, as sad as that is, it's kind of it'll give us some breathing room to do other shows. So I'm kind of glad of that. So next episode is The Living Mummies of Toth Ra. All I know about it is it's an adventure with Scrooge, Launchpad, and Louie. And I assume that living mummies are involved.
Oh, kind of indicated by the title, I guess.
Right. So, all right. Any final thoughts on this episode, Jacob?
No, not really.
Yeah.
That was pretty interesting to see. Hopefully, maybe we'll see more and flesh out Mark's character. Maybe we'll see more of that angry Mark that we got to see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Well, I guess you can
pretty
much call it.
I like this one quite a bit. I don't think it's as good as I don't think it's like the strongest of the series or anything, but I liked it infinitely better than the last episode.
Yeah, what is it? I guess it's too early to crown a best one so far because there haven't even been 10 episodes yet. So
yeah, it's too early to crown like the definitive best. For me, my favorite one so far is still, I think, the Lena's first episode.
Yeah, that or the pilot.
The pilot's really strong too. Yeah, it's between those two. I just really like Lena's first episode because it gave us such a good mix of all the different characters. You know, the nephew's got a lot to do. You know, it had a good pace to it.
Scrooge.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying it did a good job focusing on the side characters.
I know.
Anyways. All right, folks. Well, we will see you next week for presumably the last DuckTales for a while. And in the meantime, woohoo!
Woohoo!
Oh, you want to be a part of my evil, treacherous plan? Don't you, girl? Don't ya?